Welcome to this introductory podcast for the law and management of contracts. My name is Neil and I will be guiding you through this module. The law of contract is essential to the world of commerce and indeed probably forms the basis of a commercial society. There are big contracts covering massive procurement activities and small contracts whenever you buy something from a shop, no matter how little your purchase. Some are complicated documents running to hundreds of pages, others are verbal agreements without documentation. Big, small, complicated or simple, all contracts share some common features which I will be exploring with you. This course will give you not only a good grounding in the academic law of contract, but it will also think about contract law in a very practical sense, encouraging you to think about how the principles of contract law apply in real-world situations. There are four main elements to this course. First, we will look at the fundamental underpinnings of contract law. What is a contract, and what are its essential elements? Second, we will look at key contractual concepts and terms, including warranties and indemnities, as well as the notion of force majeure. Third, we examine liability and breach. We'll look at limitations of liability, penalty clauses and liquidated damages, and issues of law and jurisdiction. And lastly, we will look at some specific issues within contracts, including online and distance selling, confidentiality agreements, software licensing, and telecommunications contracts. Before we begin the course properly, a few observations about the law of contract. First, although this is a contract law course, contract law does not sit alone. It is part of a broader framework of rights and obligations, including the law of tort and the law of restitution. Parties may also have duties not to behave in a manner which is anti-competitive, including in the way in which they contract, or refuse to contract, with third parties. This course will touch on elements of each of these, but it does not focus on them. You may of course want to undertake your own study into these areas, each of which deserves a whole course in its own right. The law of contract can be distinguished from both tort and restitution on the basis that the law of contract deals with the voluntary assumption of obligations. A contract does not impose obligations on someone who does not agree to them, although it may grant rights to those who are not parties to the contract. We will study the frameworks for this voluntary assumption of risk, but do not lose sight of the bigger picture and the idea that a party to a contract may owe other, non-contractual, duties and obligations. Second, contract law is not a creature of domestic law alone. It has both European and international influences. In the coming podcasts, the European influence of contract law will be clear, although I will not focus too much on the international elements of law.